Hey everyone, and Happy New Year from everyone here at MMOHuts.com. 2018 is officially here, and that means it's time for our most anticipated games list. Now, unlike our top games of 2017, these games are in no particular order and there's no kind of ranking to them. This is just a collection of games coming this year that we all happen to be excited about. So without further ado, let's dive in. I'm Colton for MMOHuts.com, and here's our most anticipated games of 2018. First up is Bless Online. Now the first thing you'll notice about this one is that Bless is absolutely stunning visually. It's a very Western fantasy inspired MMO, and the gameplay I've seen gives off a ton of Black Desert Online and Terra vibes. There are 7 races and 2 factions to choose from, and there will be a ton of pets and mounts to tame in the game as well. The in-game world looks massive, and I personally can't wait to try it. Next is one you'll be familiar with if you've been following the channel for a while, Dauntless. Jason and I are both big fans of the game, and although the technical alpha I got to participate in was very bare bones, the gameplay on offer was a ton of fun, and if you're a fan of Monster Hunter gameplay, then you're in for a treat. Different upgradable weapons grant you different fighting styles to take on massive monsters whose movement and attacks are impacted by how your party tries to fight them. There have been a ton of changes since the last time we played it, and it's been delayed to make sure that it's as good as it can be when it finally launches. It may be a ways off yet, but it's definitely going to be worth it when it gets here. Soulworker Online is another anime brawler game similar to Closers that features a cast of unique characters and a dungeon-crawling action RPG experience. We don't have a ton of details on it yet, but I do know there's a class called Howling Guitar that summons demons from an electric guitar, and that's basically the dopest thing ever. Fringe Wars is another one we've got our eye on. It's a space MOBA in the same vein as Dreadnought or Fractured Space, but with a bit faster gameplay and more in-depth ship management. The game places more focus on different stats like separate shield types, penetration stats, different weapon and damage types, and so on. Imagine building a ship loadout in the same way you would build a Smite or a League of Legends character, and you get the idea. Next is the entry on the list that I'm most excited about, Magic the Gathering Arena. This is a new full Magic the Gathering title set in the game's current standard block. The game boasts the most robust rules engine ever put forth in a Magic game, with the game's AI being able to understand and resolve even the most complex card interactions. The only worry I have about this game is building a collection without having to spend money, but only time will tell how that will pan out. From BLUEHOLE, developers behind Terra and PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, comes ASCENT Infinite Realm. This is another MMO that in some ways resembles BDO, but this time with a steampunk fantasy spin. The game features massive battles with huge monsters both on the ground and in the air aboard fleets of airships and flying mounts. If you're into steampunk aesthetic and fast-paced combat, keep an eye on this one. Survived By is a top-down 2D bullet hell shooter, but it's also an open-world MMORPG with a unique take on permadeath. Each character you create unlocks bonuses as you play that can be passed on to future characters when they die. The system feels reminiscent of games like Realm of the Mad God and Rogue Legacy. This is a must-watch for fans of roguelikes. Lost Ark is my second favorite game on this list. It's an absolutely beautiful looking isometric ARPG that's been in development for a while now. The game is built around creating powerful cinematic fights, and it really shows in every bit of the gameplay that's out there on YouTube. It just went through the closed beta in Korea, and I cannot wait to play it. I'm hoping it'll avoid the pay-to-win elements that plagued New Legend. Dead Maze is another isometric ARPG, this time set in a 2D comic world based around a zombie apocalypse. Visually, the game may not look like the most impressive thing ever, but there are a lot of survival mechanics like thirst, hunger, and fatigue to manage that offer something other games in the ARPG genre don't. You can also establish a safe camp where you can earn and stash extra food, water, and whatever you found out of the game's 500 plus weapons. The next few games on the list are in the buy-to-play category, but are way too cool to not mention, like Wild West Online. Wild West Online is an MMO set in the Gold Rush or Western expansion era of US history and reminds me a lot of the Red Dead games. There's a huge open world to explore, quests and bounty hunts to undertake, PvP, a crafting system, a competent character customization suite, and a setting and art direction that's absolutely dripping with style. CROWFALL is another action MMORPG in the style of Terra, but offers a focus on player choice and consequences. The game boasts a fast and fluid combat system, exploring and building things within the world, and player actions having a lasting effect on the game world itself. The game makes a lot of promises, and if it can live up to them, it could change the landscape of the MMO genre for the better. Next up is Pantheon: Rise of the Fallen. Pantheon comes to us from some of the original minds behind EverQuest, and from looking at it, it seems to have that old EverQuest feel, for better or worse. The focus on classic MMO experience with lots of race and class combinations is nice to see and will be a huge draw for fans of a more nostalgic MMO experience, but its high price for entry to early access and dated visuals won't appeal to everyone. Ashes of Creation is the title we've been up and down on here in the office. Everything that's been shown for it's incredibly promising, but the promises made by the game and its developers previously haven't always been followed through on. This is a trend that's been changing for the better of late as more content is revealed. By far the coolest feature of the game is that as you level one of the 8 base classes, you're given the option to add a second base class to it later to create a whole new unique class. Dual Universe is a continuous, single-shard sandbox civilization building game taking place across multiple planets with completely player-driven in-game economy, politics, trade, and warfare. You'll be able to build new structures and tech as well as new spaceships to travel and explore the multi-planet game world with. The game has a ton to offer fans of sci-fi and civ building games alike, and we're expecting big things from it in the coming year. Our last big title for 2018 is CAMELOT Unchained. It's a massive world-building MMO with 3 realms battling for dominance. The combat is intense, and the crafting and building systems are ridiculously expansive, and the only real limitation is the physics engine, and what the enemy players will let you get away with. There are a ton of siege battles between the factions, and if you're into a lot of PvP and building, you don't want to miss out on this one. Well, that's it for our list for 2018. There are obviously a lot more games to be excited about this year, so if there's one we didn't mention that you're hyped about, let us know down in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe and keep it locked on MMOHuts.com for all the latest gaming news and reviews.